I'm Daniel, 31 years old, and I feel like I've spent most of my grown-up life just trying to shrug off these little digs that sting like crazy. They're not big blows, but they're sharp, you know? And they stick with you. My family, they're big on parties, but not so much on people. Especially not people like me. I'm sure you've met families like mine. They judge you by how many likes you get on Instagram and treat life like some kind of competition I'm always losing. Take my sister, Brooke. She's like the star of our family's perfect little show. Blonde, boisterous, and everything about her is picture perfect. She got engaged at 23, had this huge 3-day wedding at a vineyard when she was 25, and now she's constantly throwing these elaborate baby showers that look like they belong in a magazine. Me? I was always the one lagging behind. Quiet, the one everyone thinks is afraid of commitment. Bringing a girlfriend home was like walking into a firing squad of politely disguised questions. So, you're comfortable with his work situation. You're aware he rents, right? Oh, a dating app? How modern. Still, I went to every birthday, every holiday, every single christening. I sat at those flimsy folding tables, plastered a smile on my face when they inevitably forgot to include me in the group pictures. I'd bring gifts they wouldn't even bother opening while I was there, making small talk while being constantly reminded that I was the last single man standing. But Brooke's wedding, man, that was the worst. I showed up to the wedding early, all cleaned up in a nice suit, nothing fancy, just presentable. One of the event organizers, clipboard in hand, stopped me at the entrance. She asked if I was Daniel, the +1. The thing was, my name wasn't even on the seating chart. When I finally found my assigned table, it was the overflow table, stuck with the groom's barely known cousins and a couple of college buddies they didn't have a place for. During Brooke's toast, she said something like, "To everyone who helped make today special, you know who you are, and you're right here with me." I was shoved 3 tables back, right next to the restroom. Later that night, as the party was getting wild and they were cutting the cake, Brooke found me. She was a little tipsy, all lit up and clearly feeling herself. She held her wine glass like she was royalty and said, "You know, Danny, some people just aren't wedding material, but that's okay. Not everyone gets the spotlight." She laughed, then gave me a kiss on the cheek, like it was a pat on the back instead of a punch in the stomach. I smiled, of course, I always did. But that night I went home and didn't talk to her for half a year. Fast forward 5 years, I met this amazing woman. Her name's Leela. She's the calm to my chaos, steady when I'm unsure. She looks at me like I'm complete, not someone who needs to be fixed or explained. We dated for 3 years before I asked her to marry me. There wasn't a big scene, just the two of us on a trail overlooking the lake. She started crying, said yes, and then she asked the question I'd been dreading. "Will your family be there?" I hesitated. It wasn't that I didn't want Leela to see my family, she'd already met them. It was more that I knew exactly what inviting them would bring. The same digs, the fake praise, the hugs that felt like a show. I told her we'd think it over. Later, when we were planning the wedding, I dragged my feet about the guest list. Leela picked up on it. "Is it really that hard?" She asked me one evening, her pen highlighting caterers in a bridal magazine, so I told her everything. I told her about Brooke's wedding, the comet, how my family always made me feel like I was just an extra in their movie. She just listened. She didn't say anything bad, just held my hand and said, "Maybe it's time you wrote your own story." Something inside me clicked. Not from anger, not right then, but from just seeing things clearly. I realized I'd spent so long being hurt by people who didn't even know they were hurting me. They didn't hate me, exactly. They just didn't see my worth. And I was finally done paying for a seat at a table where I wasn't wanted. We found this place upstate. Nothing fancy, but it was beautiful. Little cabins, twinkling lights in the trees, a spot for the ceremony overlooking the hills. It felt like us. We kept the guest list short. Leela's friends, a few of mine, her parents, some mentors we both loved, work friends who were basically family. I thought about inviting Brooke. I really did. I even sat there staring at the computer screen with her name on the spreadsheet, the cursor blinking. But then I remembered her smirk, the bathroom conversation, the not wedding material thing, and I deleted her name. Not because I was mad, but because I felt at peace. And then I deleted the rest of them, too. My mom, she always left me out of the family updates. My dad, he'd call once a year just to brag about my sister's achievements. And my brother-in-law, he'd make these little digs about me finally catching up. We sent out the wedding invitations, every single one. But not a single one went to my family. It didn't blow up right away. I guess they figured I'd do what I always did, keep quiet, show up late, and be grateful for whatever spot I got at the table. But then Leela posted that, save the date, picture her hand on my chest with the caption, "Can't wait to say I do in the hills with the people who truly matter." That's when everything exploded. Brooke texted first, "Wait, you're getting married?" Then another text, "No invite." And another one, just a simple wow. I didn't even bother to text back. The next morning, my mom called 3 times. She left one voicemail. "Daniel, this isn't how families work. Please call me." My dad, he emailed. Can you believe it? An email. The subject line was already a bummer, so I didn't even open it. Then Brooke hit me with the big guns. She texted, "You're really cutting your whole family out after everything we've done for you? Fine, but don't come crawling to us when you need something. Have fun playing house with your little hippie girlfriend. Must be nice to finally feel important." I just stared at that message for ages. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. For the first time ever, I didn't have to explain myself. A few days after all the texts stopped, my Uncle Ray called. He was the only family member I ever truly felt connected to. He's my mom's older brother, a retired electrician, and could be pretty blunt, but he had a good heart, though it didn't always show. We hadn't talked in ages, but I picked up, mostly wondering what he wanted. "Hey, Danny," he rasped, like he'd just woken up even though it was already afternoon. "Listen, I probably shouldn't get involved, but your mom's been blabbing to everyone about you having a mental breakdown or something. Says Leela's got you all locked away. You all right?" I actually chuckled. "Uncle Ray, I'm fine, more than fine. I just didn't want those people who spent years treating me like I didn't exist to be front and center at my wedding like they deserved it." There was a silence, a long one then. Good. About damn time. I blinked. "Wait, what?" he asked. "You think I didn't see it? Every Christmas you'd bring gifts for their kids and they'd act like you were the delivery guy. Every time you brought a girl home, they treated her like she needed their pity. And don't even get me started on what Brooke said at her wedding. I told your mother that was out of line. She said Daniel's not the sensitive type. That's when I knew she'd stopped seeing you as a person and started seeing you as an ATM. It hit me way harder than I expected, not the insult, but the fact that anyone had actually noticed. "I just wanted a peaceful wedding," I said softly. "You deserve this," he said. "You really do, you've earned it." He wasn't calling to lay a guilt trip on me, Danny. He was calling to say thanks for finally drawing the line. They're losing their minds, not because you wounded them, but because you stopped letting them wound you. That evening I told Leela what he'd said. She just held me close and murmured, "I'm so proud of you." But the messages kept flooding in. From cousins I hardly knew, from Brooke's husband. Even from my mom's church lady who once asked if I was the artsy one because being single and quiet apparently meant I was locked in an attic painting portraits. Each message had a different vibe. Some were loaded with hidden guilt, others were straight-up screaming matches, but they all delivered the same poisonous message. How dare I step out of their story? Then came the group text. Yep, a full-blown nuclear family group chat I hadn't seen a peep out of in years suddenly blew up. My sister started it, just letting everyone know Danny's getting married and didn't invite his family. She included a screenshot of Leela's save the date. My mom added, "We're all just devastated. It's like we don't even know him anymore." Then my dad, with his usual sensitivity. "He's always been selfish. We just didn't want to admit it." I stared at that thread for a good 10 minutes. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I knew exactly what not to say. I exited the group without a single word. That's when things got real. Brooke, still stewing that she wasn't the center of attention, went on social media. She didn't directly mention us, but she put up a vague message with a picture of her in a bridesmaid dress. Something like, "When your little brother has a wedding but forgets who helped him out. Fake family, no class." That post took off. Her friends chimed in with stuff like, Some families are the worst, and you're such a good person, Brooke." A few even tagged me. I didn't say anything back to those either. But then Leela's mom, who's an angel, jumped in. She commented, "Interesting perspective, especially since I've watched Leela and Daniel pay for everything themselves, plan everything themselves, and never asked anyone for anything. Sounds like they know who's really there for them." That comment got way more likes than Brooke's post. Then things started to get really strange. A week before the wedding, I got something in the mail. No return address, but I knew who it was from as soon as I saw the handwriting. It was my mom. Inside was a letter, 3 paragraphs long and written in blue ink. The first paragraph was a guilt trip, all about how she carried me for 9 months, how she stayed up with me when I was sick, how she always did her best. The second paragraph was a kind of backhanded scolding. She said family wasn't something you could just ditch, that I was making a fool of myself in front of everyone, and that I needed to think about what I was putting out there. And the last paragraph, that's where it got really wild. My dad wrote, "Marry her without inviting us. Don't even think about coming back. Don't call for help. Forget Christmas." He spelled it out. Actions have consequences. I folded up the letter real careful, put it back in the envelope, and tucked it away in the drawer with the old wedding RSVPs. I didn't show Leela right away. It wasn't to shield her. It was because I didn't want to dump that weight on her. I'd been carrying it for years. Wedding morning, I woke up earlier than I thought I would. The air was crisp, the sky all soft and gray like a picture. Leela was getting ready in a different cabin, so I had a minute alone. No noise, no phone ringing, just the wind whispering through the pines and that feeling like something new was about to start. Then my phone buzzed, a number I didn't know. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. It was Brooke. "I just want to know why," she blurted out. No hello, nothing. "Why would you do this to us, to me, after everything?" I sat on the porch steps. "You really don't know?" I asked. "No, I don't," she said. "This is the most awful thing you've ever done, not inviting your family. You've embarrassed us all. People are talking. They think something's wrong with you." I let a long silence hang in the air before I said, "Brooke, you told me I wasn't good enough to get married, that I didn't belong in the limelight. You spent years making me feel like a tiny speck, and now that I'm finally good, you're pissed I didn't give you a front row view? You're being dramatic," she spat. "It was just a joke. Seriously, you're too sensitive." There it was, that line I'd heard a million times. "I'm not sensitive," I said, almost under my breath. "I'm just done." She started to say something else, but I just ended the call and killed my phone. By the time my friends and family started showing up, I felt freer than I had in ages. The music was playing, people were laughing, and one by one, all the people who actually wanted to be around me were showing up, just radiating happiness. And right as I was hiding behind the trees, waiting for my moment to walk down the aisle, the wedding planner came rushing over, eyes huge and practically panting. "There's someone at the gate," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "Who?" She paused. "Your mom and sister, and I think your dad's parked across the street. They're not on the list, but they're saying it's a family emergency." I just looked at her. My heart was steady. Then I smiled. "Tell them the guest list is closed." And then I walked down the aisle. The ceremony itself was everything I never even realized I craved. No fancy decorations, no drone videos, no fancy string quartet. Just my best friends, loving looks, and vows that came from surviving things together. When I saw Leela walking toward me, her hair with little wildflowers woven in, and that peaceful, glowing smile, it finally hit me how far I'd actually come. From the kid who used to hide in the back, to the guy who used to twist himself into knots for anyone's attention. I didn't even think about my family during the vows. Not a single time. My hands were steady. My voice didn't crack. Their missing presence didn't feel like a missing piece. It felt like freedom. Like I could breathe, stand tall, finally be the main attraction without anyone judging me. The ceremony wrapped up with people cheering and laughing, and those hugs that last a little longer because they're real. Everyone drifted towards the reception, this gorgeous outdoor space with long wooden tables, lights strung everywhere, and soft music in the air. It was like something out of a peaceful dream. Fancy but not over the top, cozy but not cramped. Then the photographer came up looking a little confused. "Hey," she said softly. "There's a group of people hanging around by the trees at the edge of the venue. They haven't come in, but they're watching." "Do you want me to do anything?" My jaw just tightened. Even before I turned, I knew. Sure enough, across the little gravel road and mostly hidden by the trees were three people. My mom, in a pale blue dress I remembered from some fancy event years ago, standing there stiffly with her arms crossed. My dad, hands in his pockets, pretending to look at a brochure from the lodge like he wasn't glaring at the wedding tent. And there was Brooke, naturally, in a stark white pantsuit. Pure white. I could make out her features from way over there. Her lips were tight, her nose flared. She was sizing up the room. Wondering who knew her, who might realize she wasn't part of the picture, I turned back to the photographer and smiled. "No worries, just don't let them get in the shot." She let out a little laugh of relief and got back to work. But watching the three of them, they were like ghosts, lurking around the edges of the party. Something changed inside me. It wasn't rage or terror or even a sense of victory. It was just understanding. They weren't there because they cared. They weren't there because they missed me or felt bad about anything. They were there to see something they felt they deserved but didn't get. They wanted to be on the sidelines of my happiness and decide how much I could have. Now that they had no control, they were completely lost. The speeches began as the sun went down, turning everything into that golden color photographers crave. Leela's dad gave a toast that was so sweet, everyone was laughing and crying at the same time. Then my best friend Oliver stood up, raised his glass, and said something that made the whole room silent. "To Daniel, the most amazing friend I've ever had, who spent years giving love to people who didn't appreciate it, and finally found someone who saw him and chose him. This guy, man, he's been through more than most people twice his age. He's always been there for everyone else, but today was different. He finally showed up for himself. And you know what? It was about damn time. People were cheering, some even stood up." I almost cried, I really did. It hit me then that girl who used to crave attention, she was gone. The person sitting there wasn't trying to prove a thing. I'd already won not to get back at anyone, but because I'd taken back the life everyone said I couldn't have. Just as they were bringing out dessert tons of apple tarts and tiramisu, my phone blew up. One text from Brooke. It said, "You were seriously going to regret this." No explanation, just pure meanness. I showed Oliver. He whistled low. "Wow," he said. "She really thinks this is all about her." I just smiled, blocked her number, and didn't say another word. Later, under the stars and fairy lights, everyone was dancing, and I headed back to the cabins to grab something. Walking along the path, I heard voices low, angry, and tense. "You should have let us in," one said. "I don't care what he thinks he's doing. That's our family." It was my mom, still at it, still raging. Then Brooke chimed in. "I hope he chokes on his perfect little moment. Let's see how long that lasts in the real world." I stood there, hidden for a second. I should have walked away. I really should have. But something inside all those years of keeping quiet, swallowing my pride, always being the last one thought of, pushed me forward. So I did it. I walked right out from behind the trees and into their line of sight, totally surprising all three of them. Mom gasped. Brooke's eyes went cold, and Dad, he just stared. "I know you're mad," I said, keeping my voice even. "But you weren't uninvited. You weren't invited at all. This day wasn't about fixing your messed up idea of who I am. It was about celebrating the person I've become without you guys." And the fact that they were hiding behind trees instead of, joining the party showed me I'd made the right call. Brooke's jaw tightened. "You think you're better than us now?" "No," I said. "I think I'm finally free of you." Then I just turned and walked away, back to the fun, the happy stuff, and the people who actually showed up. I didn't even look back as I left that whole mess behind. Every step felt like I was finally letting out a breath I'd been holding for years. The wedding was still going strong behind me. I could hear the music drifting through the trees, see the fairy lights twinkling. And Leela's laughter. It was so warm, so different from anything I ever felt at a family thing. I didn't need to see them to know what I'd left behind. I could feel it, three people standing there, speechless, shocked that the one person they figured would always come running back had finally walked away for good. When I got back to the party, Leela caught my eye across the dance floor. My niece was in my arms, and I was barefoot, my shoes forgotten under a table somewhere. My dress swirled around me as we spun slow, just her and me. She smiled, and for the first time ever, I felt like she was right, like everything was perfect. We danced, we laughed until our sides hurt. Cake cutting? No drama, no forced smiles for the camera. Our friends gave speeches, some awkward, some hilarious. Somebody spilled red wine and blamed it on the ghosts of past relationships. It was pretty funny. People hung out way past when the music should have ended. No one was looking at their watches, no fake pleasantries. They were just there with us, and I was there too, finally present. Later, after everyone left and the porch lights were off, Leela and I sat on the cabin porch, snuggled in a blanket, just the two of us. She rested her head on my shoulder. "I saw them," she whispered, so quiet. "I know," I said back, knowing I shouldn't say anything else. I didn't want to mess up this moment. "You didn't let them," I whispered. "They couldn't ruin this, not even if they tried." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a tiny white envelope. "This came while you were getting ready," she explained. "I didn't want to give it to you before the ceremony." I took it slowly, recognizing my mom's handwriting on the front. Inside was a $10,000 check and a little note about wedding costs. It said, "We know things are probably tight. Don't let your pride mess up your marriage. Think about your future, Mom." No name, no love, just that same old assumption that I was still up for sale, that I could be bought. I laughed a little and tossed the bill into the fire pit next to us. It lit up fast, and the flames twisted the paper into dark scraps that floated up into the air. Leela didn't say a word. She just snuggled closer under the blanket, and we stayed there until the fire was gone, the last little ember glowing like the final thing I never had to say. A week later, we were back at our place. We were married, calmly married. The place where we got hitched was cleaned up, the money was paid, the photos were getting worked on, and the silence from my family was seriously loud. At first, I figured maybe they'd finally gotten it, that I was done with all the strings they'd been pulling my whole life. But then things started to fall apart. Not from them directly, but from everyone else around them. It started with a voicemail from my cousin Rachel. "Hey, this is gonna sound weird, but your mom's been telling people you lost it at the wedding. She said you kicked them all out and you don't want any of your family around 'cause Leela doesn't like them. But I saw the pictures. You both looked happy, so I just wanted to see if you're doing okay." I listened to that message twice. Then I went to Facebook. Sure enough, my mom had posted something the day after the wedding. "When you raise someone with love and they pay you back by shutting you out, you just have to let go and hope they figure things out before it's too late. Heartbroken family first." The comments were full of people feeling bad for her. "Praying for you? Kids can be so selfish nowadays. You're such a strong woman. And of course, there was a comment from Brooke's best friend. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that he just wouldn't let you stick around. It was so gross. It'd be funny if it wasn't so clearly planned. They were trying to twist the story, trying to get back in the driver's seat of a narrative they messed up. In their version, I was a mess, a drama queen, totally controlled by my wife. A lesson, you know, so I did something I hadn't even thought of. I fought back, not with a Facebook rant or threats in a text. Nope, I wrote a letter, an actual letter. Printed it, put it in an envelope, and sent it to my folks, Brooke, and a handful of the relatives who'd reached out to see if I was okay. No theatrics, just the truth. Dear family, you guys seem to believe your version of my life more than the actual facts. So here's how it really went, straight up. I didn't freak out. I didn't cut you out to be mean or because someone made me. I just wanted to start fresh with people who like me for me, not what they wanted me to be. Brooke, you once said I wasn't cut out for marriage, that I didn't belong in the spotlight. You giggled when you said it, but it hurt me. For years, I took every little comment, every backhanded compliment, every time I felt like I didn't matter, and I kept it all in. I stayed silent because I was raised to think family always forgives. But to forgive, there has to be some kind of regret, and you've never admitted you did anything wrong. Mom, your money wasn't about love. It was about control. It was a gift that came with strings attached. I don't need it. We never did. You weren't kicked off the guest list, Daniel. You just weren't included in something you didn't help create. I've spent my life trying to get these people to like me, the ones who see me as the family ATM, the one they take their bad moods out on, the weirdo who never gets it. But I'm over trying to squeeze myself into the box you built with your grudges and your demands. This wasn't about punishing you when I cut you off. I let you go because carrying you was killing me, and I refused to do it anymore. I sent the letter. Then I kept moving forward. You didn't reply, no apology, not even a message. But over the next few months, something kinda amazing started. My cousin, who I hadn't seen in forever, messaged me to say I'd always been treated like crap. An old family friend reached out to say she was proud of me. Even my Uncle Ray called again, and he sounded different this time. He said they wouldn't say it out loud, but they knew. Deep down, they did, and that was good enough. Leela and I moved into a new place a few months after the wedding. It wasn't huge, but there was a balcony where the sun hit just right in the morning, and enough room for the piano she scored at a thrift store. She plays while I make dinner. Sometimes I just stop to watch her fingers dancing on the keys, like they're changing the story of my life. And every so often, when the music drifts out the window and the world is too quiet, I remember that folding chair at Brooke's wedding. I can still see that smug look on their faces, hear those little digs, the way they always made me feel like love was some kind of prize I had to win. It's funny now because I get it. Love isn't a reward for putting up with crap. It's a choice, and I chose a life without them in it. I'm done waiting for them to give me the thumbs up. Done twisting myself into knots trying to please them. Done keeping a spot open for them, hoping they'll finally accept me. The truth is, I never really belonged in that life they had. This life I have now, messy and happy, and all mine, this is the life I made when I stopped asking for their blessing. And I wouldn't trade this life, this freedom, for a place at their table, not for anything.